You don't mind my camera.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming. My name is Karen Rowe. I am the CDOT Region 2 Director. So Region 2 covers 14 counties in southeastern Colorado. I cover El Paso County, and then this is a split region project. There's Region 1, covers Douglas County. So welcome. I appreciate everyone coming, taking time in their busy schedule to participate in this process. This is a formal public hearing. We have to record your comments as part of the formal process to enter into the document, and then we respond to your formal comments when we're completed with this document. So this is the I-25 Gap Environmental Assessment public hearing for El Paso County. We did have the Douglas County public hearing on Monday. So it's very important. After I'm speaking just for introductions, and then I have Chuck Attardo here. He will be talking about the environmental assessment report itself. He'll give you a high-level view of the summary of what the document says. Again, there's certain stations around that you're encouraged to go around and talk to the people at the stations, get more information, and ask questions. However, because this is a formal public hearing, it's very important if you do want your comments to be recorded and to be entered into the document as part of the formal process. There's a court reporter as you come in that can do that, and you can talk as long as you want. There's written documents, and there's computers. Where's the computer station? Okay, under the blue banner back there, so you can enter in, you can type as long as you want on our website, even after this meeting. If you want to enter in comments there, if you weren't sure what to say or how to say it, you can do it then. So again, there's lots of different formats. Now there's a sign up there that says speaker sign in. I thought, wow, okay, I'm a speaker, I got to sign in. But no, it's not for me, it's for you. So we do allow a 3-minute limit speaker to come up and speak your 3-minute comment. Now again, if you want to have a longer comment, if you want more than 3 minutes, go to the court reporter, go back to the computers, or go to the website and enter in your full comments. But for the interest of time and for make sure we get everyone in, we limit the speaking time to 3 minutes. So if you do want to come up and speak, you do have to sign in over there. You can't just come up like we have at some of the listening sessions and talk. So you do have to sign up over in the front that says speaker sign in if you want to do the 3-minute formal speaking presentation. So with that, I'd like to make sure that we do hear from you, and that this is your chance to give your perspective on what you think we've come up with for this environmental assessment. And so with that, I will hand it over to Chuck to go over the highlights of what we have in this document and where it's located. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Again, my name is Chuck Attardo. I work for CDOT as well, and I've been working on the project since the beginning. Welcome to the South I-25 Gap public hearing. As Karen said, it's a formal public hearing tonight. I'm going to go through a very short presentation, and immediately following the presentation is when we'll do the oral comments. That's the real reason we're here tonight, is to hear from you, all right? It's not for us to get up and speak to you. We want to hear, are we missing anything? Are we addressing the problems in the gap? Is there anything we're missing? So this is the real reason for tonight, is to really hear what you have to say. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the environmental assessment, okay? That's what's under review right now. The federal decision document that we're working on and is due out next month, all right? I'm also going to talk a little bit about the public hearing format and what you see here tonight. And then lastly, I'm just going to say a couple short words on what makes a great comment, okay? Our environmental assessment is 6 chapters. It would out for public review April 27th. It is under review until April 29th. So any type of comment we receive in that period becomes part of the formal record, as Karen said. Chapter 2 of our environmental assessment is what's called our purpose and need chapter. It's the backbone of our study, okay? The purpose of our project is to fix that 18-mile bottleneck between Monument and Castle Rock. And as we're doing that, we need to address the safety and incident management problems, the travel delays, and the travel reliability problems that are in the corridor. Okay? So this is the backbone. Chapter 3 is the alternatives chapter of the environmental assessment. We looked at 3 alternatives: the no action or the do nothing alternative. Okay? Alternative 2 was add a tolled express lane in each direction. And alternative 3 was add a free, or what we call general purpose lane in each direction. We evaluated all 3 alternatives against our purpose and need. So which one solved the problems the best, right? And the express lane alternative was chosen as the preferred alternative. Okay? It best meets the purpose and need of safety and trip reliability through 2040. Okay? And so that rose to the top. It also allows us to get more vehicles or more people through the corridor with less vehicles, okay, by encouraging transit use and high occupancy vehicles, HOV3 use, all right? So there are a lot of benefits to the express lane alternative, but I want to be clear, remember there's always a choice to use those free lanes that are out there today. They remain free forever, okay? We're not changing those. What are some other elements of the preferred alternative? Again, express lane in each direction, all right? But we're also doing things like putting in wide shoulders, and I'm going to show you a picture of that here in a second. The wide shoulders are really important. We're improving the curves. The speed limit out there is 75 miles an hour, and the curves, some of those curves are kind of tight, okay? We're also replacing 4 bridges, and we're installing 4 new wildlife underpasses. And those underpasses are really important for safety because in the high seasons, there's about a hit a day of wildlife: elk, deer, mountain lion, bear, all kinds of animals. All right. We're also going to add a southbound truck chain-up station. Okay. Improve the drainage, which should also help with safety, and put in state-of-the-art LED lighting, which is something we heard from you. The lighting out there is cool. So this is a picture of what's out there today. You know, just 2 lanes in each direction, very minor shoulders, okay? And this is what we're proposing. Okay, add an express lane in each direction, but you'll see, I don't know if people in the back can see, but there's really wide outside and inside shoulders, 15 and 12 feet. Those are so important for incident management and safety. All of a sudden now we have room to get emergency responders to people who are hurt. We have room to clear those crashes more quickly. We have room to get people around the crashes. So these are going to be really important for the project. The shoulders will also give you a little bit more room in case you have to make a sudden swerve, right? So these are going to be key to the project. We've had a lot of questions about the express lanes over the past 4 months. In particular, what is it going to cost me, right? So I want to be clear that our HPTE board, our Performance Transportation Enterprise Board, and our Transportation Commission sets the pricing for the corridor once the whole thing's constructed. Right now we're on schedule for a summer 2021 construction, right, finished construction. So you won't see the pricing set until then, all right? But for your reference, other express lanes operating in the Colorado area, somewhere between 35 cents and $5.15 a trip. That's for reference only. Remember, the 2 GP lanes, free, still free. Our funding, a good chunk of the funding is from the state, okay? But notice that there's also a good portion of it coming from local governments, and that's really important. That shows that there's partnerships in the corridor. A lot of people are behind the project. The other chunk of funding we're waiting on, we should hopefully hear next month about, is a grant that we applied for in November. And that's that federal infra 19%. So more news to come on that. Chapter 5 of the environmental assessment talks about the environmental impacts. And we've taken lots of comments on noise, visual, the sensitive open spaces that are in and around Greenland. But when you look at our project and the impacts it has, they're not that big, because we were able to design this project in such a way that we kept the improvements inside the right-of-way, inside our property. It doesn't go out and require lots of property to build this, okay? So our impacts were relatively small for a $350 million project, for sure. I want to remind you that there are multiple ways to comment on this environmental assessment during this comment period, right? And the real reason we're here tonight is to hear oral comments. As Karen said, hopefully if you want to make an oral comment at the microphone, you've signed up at the front. There's also an opportunity, there's a court reporter up near the front. If you want to be sort of private with your comment, you can make it there. Karen also pointed out, directly behind you, there's computer stations, and we can electronically type in your comment, all right? There's also, in the environmental assessment itself, on page 4, there's contact info to where you can mail in a comment. Multiple ways for you to send in your comment on this. All your comments become part of the public record and are recorded in what's called the federal decision document. And our project team must come up with a response to each one of those comments, which becomes part of the public record. Okay, this decision document, like I said, it's on schedule for June 30 release. Will also include the final environmental mitigation that we need to include as part of the construction of the project. And then any changes to the preferred alternative that comes about from you during the public comment process. So if you come up with ways to make this better and they get incorporated in the project, we have to report that at the federal decision document. Before I turn it over to Tamara Ralston to moderate the oral comments portion of the hearing here, I want to just make one quick statement on comments. It really helps the project team, a lot of them you've probably talked to tonight, if your comments tie back to the problems we're trying to fix in the gap. So those safety, the travel reliability, the travel delays, incident management, that helps us. Do we miss something with environmental mitigation? That really helps us. Are there ways to minimize or maybe even avoid disturbances during construction? Those types of things really, really help us. So think about that as you make your comments, so either written or oral. It might give you kind of some examples of a way to go with your comment. Tamara, I'm going to turn it over to you, because these people are the real star of the show. So we can start the formal oral comment period.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad you could be with us tonight. I'm Tamara Ralston, and I am the communications manager for this project. Glad you could be here. We have about 14 people signed up to present comments. If any of you would like to provide comments, we certainly welcome that. There are many ways that you can do it. If you want to do it orally, you do need to sign up. You need to put your name and your address so that we can call you in the following order. You will each have 3 minutes to provide your comments, and you will see the process there, 3 minutes. Provide your name. You do not need to provide your address. We have that here, but the name for the court reporter, and you will probably want the last name spelled. Would that help you? The last name spelled. And the court reporter here will record your comments, and as Chuck said, it will be part of the public record. So I will begin, and forgive me if I don't pronounce your name correctly, but I will try my best. So Rolly McKee, please come on. And please stand at the mic, speak directly into it so that we all can hear you.
Okay. The I-25 South Cap project absolutely needs completed, but without tolls. Toll revenue set-asides for repair maintenance is really nothing more than a governmental accounting gimmick. And I would also like to say that from my research, employees of the Colorado Transportation Management System have no skin in the game because you don't pay tolls. I think you should. If there's going to be tolls, nobody should be exempt, but you shouldn't have to pay them. I shouldn't have to pay them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McKee. Next, Paul David Almond. Please come up to the microphone. And again, spell your last name for the court reporter.
Thank you. My spelling of my last name is A-L-M-O-N-D. And my comment is that when we've got a toll road that basically says to the voters who essentially, I think, got what is really the equivalent of an electoral bait and switch, that we're saying to them, you raised a lot of money through your taxes, through your county, and through your municipality, Pikes Peak Area Regional Transportation District, is not enough. Now, in my mind, we're paying a lot of that freight when you consider that Douglas County is paying 10%, and $10 million, we're paying 25. Second of all, when I take a look at the idea, if we have a toll road, first of all, who's going to want to use it? Second of all, there is an option that we're not looking at, and that option is to go back through that toll lane at it, but also have 3 other lanes that can be used. Because I guarantee what's going to happen if you have 2 free lanes and 1 toll lane, 105 and 83 are still going to get a lot of that freight, because nobody's going to want to pay the toll lane when you can ride other alternatives to that road for free, and it's not going to have the kind of effect, I think, that is meant to mitigate the kind of traffic issues that we have right now between Monument Hill and Denver. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. Next, Stephen DuPont, please come up to the microphone and spell your last name for the record.
My last name is DuPont, D-U-P-O-N-T. This is the 3rd meeting I've been to. It seems like we keep hashing on the same thing. Got a big thing here from the Gazette. One of the things that says, is CDOT going to change its mind about adding a toll lane? And the answer was pretty much no. So my question is, why are we even having a meeting here to get public comments when we've already told you, 3 meetings I've been to, we don't want a toll. We also have told you that we want 4 lanes. You want to make one of them a toll lane? That's fine. But the other 3 lanes, we need to add another lane. We're going to need one in a few years anyway. Let's do it now. Next thing is, for the record, I don't understand why we keep having meetings here and we send comments to CDOT. I've sent emails, I've written letters, I get no replies, no answers, and it seems like all you guys do is have meetings, and it doesn't matter what us people say, you've already made up your mind. I might remind you that we don't work for you, you work for us.
And next up is Mr. William Sieg. Sieg? Okay.
Spell the last name S-I-E-G. When I look at the traffic coming out of Colorado Springs, it runs very reasonably on 3 lanes. So if you would continue 3 lanes up through the gap, you have reasonable traffic all the time. Now, when I look at the picture, I see 3 lanes, the new layout. I see 3 lanes. There's no reason why you can't build those 3 lanes that way with those wide shoulders that gives you emergency access, that gives you access around accidents, and that sort of thing, the things that you were talking about, and not have toll lane. One of the things, though, that we really need to look at is carpooling. We need to do a better job of that. I lived in Northern Virginia. I supported my Fairbanks County supervisor on transportation issues. And the idea of carpooling in Northern Virginia is a science almost. And we can do a better job of that. And if you figure it, someone driving a car from Woodman Drive to central Denver is driving 30,000 miles a year. You get one person to ride with you, you save 15,000 miles. That's not chump change. And after we set that up and watch it grow, then at some point you make that an HOV lane. Now, maybe you want to, at that point, have a situation like they were talking about, where you want to have the situation that you need to get to the airport. You want to make sure that that's that transportation reliability that you're talking about. But I really do not believe that the transportation reliability will suffer if you have three regular lanes and going northbound. Now southbound, they're talking about having a fourth lane in Castle Rock that will be the toll lane, and then it will narrow down to 3 lanes. And to me, that's just going to create the same gridlock in the 3 regular lanes that you have today. So my view is that do the lanes the way you have them laid out, but do them at least starting out without tolls, and see how that works, and see if you do have a problem with transportation reliability, which I do not believe that you will have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next is Ms. Vicki Tompkins. Please come up to the microphone. Did you sign up?
I'm number 8. How did that happen?
I think we had a few drop out.
Oh.
Moved you on up.
Well, hello, my name is Vicki Tompkins, VICKIE-TONKINS. I've been to several of these meetings, and thank you. But like most have said already, why? Because it seems like you've made up your mind, which is very disturbing to me. And the reason it's so disturbing to me is I'm running for county commissioner in this county. And every single person, every constituent that I have spoken to has said to me, why are they taxing us again? So that's a question. Why does it have to be a toll managed lane? I do not like the idea of being told I need to be managed on what I drive, when I drive, and how I drive. And I don't think most of the people here want that either. If I want to carpool, I'll carpool. But don't put it in a managed way to where the state is telling me to do that. Why only 1 lane? It's already been projected that within 5 years we're going to grow in El Paso County by 60,000 people. That 1 lane's not going to cut it. And so you're going to come back in 5 to 10 years and you're going to have to put in another lane. Let's plan. Go ahead and put in a 4th lane. It's necessary for our growth. A gentleman spoke up here and he said that we are the boss, you guys work for us. That's how it is in government. We elect. Oh, wait a minute, you guys aren't elected. So, we need to talk to those who are elected to make sure we get this fixed. I don't know of anybody in here that wants a toll lane. I don't want a toll lane. The infra grant, we were presented as this infra grant required a toll lane that our county commissioners applied for. They went to Washington, D.C. And guess what? A toll lane is not required in that infra grant. I did not vote for the overages on Tabor. We need to leave Tabor alone. That's the only reason why we're not California right now. And this is another way to get more tax dollars out of us. It's not right. You guys have, I know you're having these meetings, but you have really got to listen to us. And this is what we are saying, loud and clear. No, N-O, toll, T-O-L-L, lane, L-A-N-E. Thank you very much.
Next up is Stan Cromer.
I believe I'm speaking with just about everybody else here. I've driven north through Denver and up to Wyoming. Every time I drive through Denver, I see virtually empty toll roads and bumper-to-bumper traffic on 3 lanes. That's what I'm afraid will happen if that's what happens to the widening of I-25. We have too many people who can't afford to pay tolls every time they need access to a road. Thank you.
Ms. Ann Howe?
Howe, H-O-W-E. My name is Ann Howe, and I started Fix I-25 now almost 2 years ago. I got tired of watching my fellow Coloradoans get crunched on that section of road. You've come here today and told us that a reliable trip seems to be the top priority. I started that group because I was tired of watching people get crunched, and I wanted to make sure people got there not necessarily on time, but alive. That needs to be your priority. I'm so glad we're taking care of wildlife. I'm so glad we're taking care of a reliable trip. But we need to concentrate on the people that are dying on that segment of road, 2 of which were law enforcement. You have plenty of room to put in 4 lanes. You have Senate Bill 1, which is on the governor's desk to be signed, that doubles your funding. And it will take care of putting in a 4th lane without tolls. If you look at your own charts, the road's going to go in without tolls. The county and local people have put in money to make sure it goes in without tolls. You had over a dozen listening meetings where people told you they want it going in without tolls. Your own data suggests only 1 or 2 out of 10 cars will use that lane. How is that going to ease congestion and increase safety? For a price, you're willing to accommodate Coloradoans with a toll lane for a reliable trip. When did you stop working for all of Coloradoans to get from point A to point B reliably and safely? That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Charles Muller?
My name is Charlie Ayler, that's spelled E-H-L-E-R. I'm a former candidate for United States Senate in 2016, just so you know who I am. I am patently offended by such things as what I see happening here, where it appears that you guys don't want to hear what we have to say. One of the reasons that I ran for office was to give the citizens of this state the opportunity to have input in government. And to have somebody like you blatantly omit the issue of the toll road and the toll lanes is offensive to me. Now I know that this isn't happening because of elected officials. It's a planning commission somewhere that has decided that it's going to extort money from us. This needs to stop. Who is on this planning board? Are they congestionists? Do they think that everybody needs to be 4 people in a car? How many people here know that every time that you've upgraded something to a toll lane, it's gone from 2+ to 3+? That's not trying to get people to change. That's extortion. I can't believe that we're doing this. That is an abomination. What are you doing? And it's your own citizens that you're doing it to. Your neighbors. How dare you? Thank you.
Linnea McDonald?
My name is Linnea McDonald, McDonald, and I'm a resident of Colorado Springs, and as such, I'm going to be taxed 4 times for this toll road. I'm going to be taxed as a citizen of Colorado who pays income taxes. I'm going to be taxed as a driver who pays gas taxes. I'm going to be taxed twice because I voted for the taxes in El Paso County and Colorado Springs to help fund this. A toll road is piling on. It does not need to happen. However, I don't have any confidence that CDOT will listen to us. and if this widening goes forward, it's going to go forward with a toll road. If that's the case, I have two suggestions which would mitigate this discriminatory practice. The first one is to have 3 free lanes in each direction with a toll road in the center. Back in the early 2000s, when my son was going to Greeley, and we were going back and forth in Denver, there was an HOV lane that was directional. In the morning, it was HOV into town. In the evening, it was HOV out of town. And they closed it off, and you used it the direction that needed to be used. I don't see any reason why we couldn't put a toll road in the middle of this that could be bi-directional. It could be open. If there was a Broncos game and everybody's going north, it could be open until everybody's going south. It could be closed off for emergency vehicle access. There are ways to deal with that where you could have your toll road, but there would still be 3 free lanes. The other suggestion I have was one made by Lance Miller in the Gazette on May 10th in the letters to the editor. And he suggested that if you do tolls, you collect them for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon during commuter traffic on the weekdays, and the rest of the time that they would be free lanes. So one of these 2 suggestions or something else where we're not paying tolls unless, you know, there's a real big accident or something, might be a way to get around and give us the 3 free lanes without having to pay tolls all the time. Thank you.
Eric Veed.
My name is Eric Veed. V is in Victor, E-E-D. I'm one of the few that actually commutes to Aurora every day. I am responsible and I'm innovative. I can't tell you how many times I have almost died because of semi-trucks deciding they want to pass another semi-truck doing 20 or 30 miles below the speed limit. I see nothing in this plan that will improve that. You will have trucks in both lanes. Furthermore, CDOT needs to relinquish their fiefdom to the Colorado State Patrol. I spent 7 hours on top of the Greenland Bridge because of a fatal accident at just south of, or just north of Monument Hill. And I called, and everybody said, no, there's no problem with I-25. I'm in the middle of a blizzard. I called, I complained to CDOT, I never got a response. I complained to the state police, talked to a state police sergeant, and he said, only CDOT is allowed to close a road. He did it a year before and was almost fired because CDOT demanded his badge. You know, you talk about safety. I have heard nothing that improves safety. You want to put a toll road in? Fine. Put in a 3rd lane. For those of us that make that slog every day and have paid our taxes and paid so that we are conscientious and use commuter vehicles, because the jobs have moved to the Denver metropolitan area. Don't penalize us for trying to make a living. And that's what you're doing. Thank you.
Craig Sowell.
Good evening. Sawall, S-A-W-A-L-L. Well, all I can really do is reiterate what people are saying already. It's horrible that you have bypassed everybody's feelings and what they have said in these past meetings, saying that they do not want a toll road, to go ahead and just make up your own mind and put a toll road in. At the very beginning of this meeting, you stood up here, you said, we've had several options, but we decided to go with the toll road. I haven't understood why a toll road is going to be so much better
with having 2 lanes and then a third toll road. If you put 3 lanes in, that's going to be much safer for everybody than having a toll road that's probably going to be used half the time. Yes, you're probably going to get a few more people using it because they're forced to, but that's just taxing people for no reason, and it's wrong. And you guys need to really look at yourselves and what you're doing, because you're overtaxing the citizens of the state, your neighbors, your coworkers. Everybody that I've ever talked to about this issue, whether it be at dinner parties or work or anything like that, I haven't had one person say that they were happy that you guys are putting in a toll road. It's just absolutely ludicrous that you guys are making these decisions when everybody in the state, probably 99% of them, do not want a toll road. And one of the other things I just don't understand is I-25 is an interstate. And why are we getting so little funding from the federal government when it's an interstate? That's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Next is John Ball.
Hi, it's John Balke, B-A-L-K-E. I've been commuting up to Littleton for the last 7 years, so I know what the drive's like. I carpool when I can with one other driver. More recently, in the past year, my son goes to school in Boulder now, so I've been up to Boulder probably a dozen times at various times of the day, various days of the week, including weekends. And what I'm amazed at, as a few people have mentioned, is how little the toll lane north of Denver and the toll lane on 36 going up to Boulder are used. Yes. There's been times when I'm on the road, we took it for the very first time, my wife was driving, and there was nobody on it at all. And she was afraid that somebody's going to be coming at us and hit us head on because there was we just didn't even know. It was the first time we were using it and there was nobody on it. So what I would request that the Department of Transportation publish a record showing those existing toll roads that are there, the one north of Denver that's heading up to 36, and then 36 going to Boulder. Publish the statistics, the predicted volume you were expecting when you put those in versus what is actually used. Because I'm amazed. I even started, as a passenger, taking some pictures of the road of how little it was used. And here we were in the 2 lanes, not heavy volume. I'm not going to say that we were bumper to bumper like we are on I-25 at times, but there was enough volume on the road that if you had a 3rd lane there, it would make it, in my opinion anyways, a lot more safe. And that's what I think is going to happen if we do this with the toll lane. You're going to force people, you're going to try to force people to use the toll lane and pay, but we're not going to do it. So we're going to still have a problem, and we're still going to be just as unsafe as we are today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sean Brennan.
Good evening. Brennan, Bravo, Romeo, Echo, November, Alpha, November. Just want to say a couple things. First of all, thanks for tonight, for everybody coming out. Thanks for a really clear environmental assessment. Appreciated how much information it gave me as I went through it compared to what we see in the newspaper and the comment section of the newspaper, which has a lot of misinformation, including from many of our elected politicians. They talked about, hey, how great the truck acceleration lanes are, and how things like that, which do not exist in the current design as it shows in the EA. So a lot of misinformation out there, and CDOT, I think, needs to make the rounds with the politicians as well. Overall, I really like the design of what you're doing. Is how you mentioned safety as a priority. It seems to me they're really taking care of that with the shoulders and things like that. So the only thing I don't like about it is, of course, the express lanes. Toll lanes. I've lived in New Jersey, I've lived in Ohio with toll lanes, I've lived in Illinois, in Indiana with toll lanes, I lived in California with toll lanes, and in Northern Virginia, which has the hot lanes now as well. So, to me, toll lanes are so against the Colorado ethos. It just drives me nuts. This is the West, the Rockies, everything like that. and we should be so anti-tolling. That means E470, that means 36, that means up to Johnstown on 25, that means C470 over to Golden, all that. If we need to pay more taxes, just tell us what it is and we'll pay it in gas taxes. That spreads the load across everybody. Everybody who drives pays for gas. It's all good. I don't understand why we're going through this, adding more equipment, paying a concessionaire to manage it, when we have a perfectly acceptable way of collecting money already. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have no other speakers signed up.
Yes, you do. Al Mauer, I signed up right after Mickey Cummings.
My apologies.
Al Mauer, M-A-U-R-E-R, from Black Forest. And I'm also authorized to speak on behalf of Paul Lundin, who's my representative, House District 19. There is one preferred alternative, and that is 3 lanes, no tolls. You've had meetings before, and you've had this one tonight. You're hearing very consistently from everyone that message. The purpose and need statement will not be met by tolling 1 lane and restricting its use. You've heard that. You have a number of good ideas. The wide shoulders are great. I particularly like the underground passages for the wildlife. We have a lot of wildlife accidents on I-25. Those will help with the safety. Toll lanes will not. From our perspective, as citizens, as voters, as taxpayers, it's a non-starter. We pay federal taxes, and that money's going toward this road. We pay state taxes, and that money's going toward this road. We have just voted extra funds from El Paso County as well. Enough is enough. We've paid the money. We want 3 lanes, just like we have it through Colorado Springs and north from Denver. Can't really add a whole lot that others haven't said, but I hope you get the message tonight. This won't be the end of it. Thank you.
Thank you. I do believe that's the last of the speakers who have signed up. So thank you for sharing your comments. They will become part of the official record. They will be reviewed and responded to and taken into consideration. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, concerns, and comments. We'll be here until 7:30. We have our project experts at each of the boards if you have further questions. We also have other opportunities for you to provide your comments at the station in the back, and we also have a court reporter as well too. You can also go to our website and you can add your comments there as well too. Please pick up a brochure if you haven't done so. That has all the information to get to our website and other avenues in which you can leave comments. Thank you very much.
Hey, look, Kyger, this is interesting. Coming out